The small apartment that quietly made you a millionaire. You are 34. It's Sunday morning, 9:15 a.m. You are sitting on the same cheap couch you bought 10 years ago. You are looking around your 600 square foot, one-bedroom apartment. The kitchen is so small you can touch the fridge from the stove. Yesterday, your college friend Mark invited you to his housewarming party. He just bought a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs with a 30-year mortgage that takes 50% of his take-home pay. When you walked in, Mark looked at you with a mix of pride and pity. He slapped you on the back and said, "Don't worry, man. You'll get your own place soon." You smiled and took a sip of your drink. You didn't tell him that while he is paying the bank for the next 3 decades to look successful, you have $850,000 sitting in an index fund. You didn't tell him that you could buy his house in cash today. People think you are stuck in this small apartment because you have failed. The truth is, staying in this apartment is the exact reason you have already won. Now stay on that couch for a minute. Don't get up yet. Look around the room, because everything in this small apartment is about to make sense in a way it never has before. For 10 years, people have looked at this place and felt sorry for you. 10 years. The same walls, the same tiny kitchen, the same cheap couch. And the whole time, they had the story backwards. They thought this room was a cage. It was never a cage. It was the engine. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how 4 small walls made you richer than a man with 4 bedrooms. And why the thing everyone pitied you for was actually the smartest move you ever made. But first, let's talk about Mark and the lie he just bought into. Walk back into that housewarming party for a second. The new house smell. The empty rooms that echo when you talk. Mark giving the tour. This is the guest room. This is the office. This is the second living room we don't really use yet. Everyone nodding. Everyone impressed. Everyone saying the same word. Wow. That word is the whole trap. Wow. Because here's what nobody at that party said out loud. Mark didn't buy a house. Mark bought a sentence. A 30-year sentence. For the next 3 decades, half of everything he earns goes straight to a bank. Not to him, to the bank. He will wake up at 50 still owing money on rooms he barely walks into. You've been told your whole life that a bigger house means you made it. It's printed into you. Bigger house, bigger success. It's in the movies. It's in the ads. It's in the way your own family asks every holiday. So, when are you going to buy a real place? But strip the word success off it and look at what a big house actually is. It's a box you pay to heat. It's a box you pay to cool. It's property taxes that never stop every single year for as long as you own it. It's a roof that will need replacing. It's a yard that eats your Saturdays. It's furniture to fill rooms you don't need, so the rooms don't look empty to people who don't matter. A big house doesn't sit there quietly like a trophy. A big house has an appetite, and it eats first, before your savings, before your freedom, before your time. It eats first, every month, for 30 years. Mark thinks he owns that house. Look closer. That house owns Mark. And here's the cruelest part. The thrill won't even last. The first month, he's proud. He gives the tour 10 times. He posts the photos. The likes come. His brain lights up. Second month, it's just where he lives. Third month, the water heater breaks. And that's $2,000 he didn't plan for. By the end of the first year, the house isn't a dream anymore. It's a list of chores and a payment that never blinks. The excitement is gone. The mortgage stays. That's the deal nobody reads before they sign. And the worst part, it pulls him forward, not back. Now he needs the nicer car to match the nicer house. Now he needs the furniture, the landscaping, the second bathroom remodel. Each upgrade demands the next one. He's not climbing a ladder. He's running on a wheel, and the wheel speeds up every year. So while everyone at that party looked at Mark and saw a winner, you looked at Mark and saw something else. You saw a man who just signed away 30 years of his life and smiled while he did it. And he hasn't even met the real costs yet. The ones that don't show up in the brochure. The property tax bill that climbs a little every year, whether his salary does or not. The insurance. The lawn guy, because the yard is too big to handle alone now. The 1,000 small repairs that a house this size generates like clockwork. None of that builds him a single dollar of wealth. It just keeps the trophy standing. He'll spend the next 30 years feeding a thing that gives him nothing back but the right to say he owns it. And even that isn't quite true. The bank owns it. Mark just lives there and pays for the privilege. Now come back to your apartment. Come back to that cheap couch. Because here's where the real story lives. Here's the part nobody can see. For 10 years, you did one quiet, boring, almost invisible thing. You kept your rent low, dangerously low, by the standards of everyone around you. You stayed in the small place when you could have afforded more. You drove the old car. You skipped the upgrade. And every single month, the money other people poured into mortgages and bigger lifestyles, you quietly sent somewhere else. You sent it into an index fund. And then you did the hardest thing of all. Nothing. You left it alone. This is the part they don't teach you. The difference between Mark's payment and your rent wasn't small. It was enormous. Month after month, Year after year, that gap went to, and money that is left alone for long enough stops being money. It becomes something else. It becomes time. It becomes options. It becomes power. That's what $850,000 really is. It isn't a number on a screen. It's years of your life, bought back and stored where no one can see them. Every dollar in that account is a morning you don't have to sell to a job you hate. Mark bought square footage. You bought freedom. And only one of those keeps growing while you sleep. Do the simple math with me. The gap between what Mark pays every month and what you pay is not $100. It's closer to $2,000, maybe more. Now take that gap and feed it quietly into the Mark every month for 10 years. Don't touch it. Don't brag about it. Don't even look at it too often. Let it sit there and do the one thing money does best when you leave it alone. Grow on top of itself. Year 1, it's small. Year 3, you barely notice. But somewhere around year 7, the account starts earning more in a year than you could ever save in one. That's the moment the snowball stops needing you to push it. That cheap couch you've sat on for a decade? It didn't cost you wealth. It bought you all of it. Every year you refused to upgrade was another year the gap kept compounding in the dark. They have a name for what you did. They call it stealth wealth. Rich in the bank, invisible on the street. The man in the small apartment that nobody respects. The man who could write a check for the whole building and instead keeps buying time, quietly, where it doesn't show. Because here's the secret almost no one understands. Real wealth isn't what you spend. Real wealth is what you don't. The money you don't show. The house you don't buy. Upgrade you walk past. Every time you said no to looking rich, you said yes to actually being rich. And nobody clapped, because nobody could see it. That's the strange power of this small room. It's not a sign that you fell behind. It's the exact reason you pulled ahead. Now think about what that account actually changes. Not the things. The things didn't change. You still have the same couch. The same tiny kitchen where you can touch the fridge from the stove. What changed is invisible. It's the way you stand in a room now. When your boss leans on you, something in you stays calm. Because you don't need that paycheck the way Mark needs his. Mark can't say no to anyone. His house won't let him. 50% of his income is already spoken for. 3 decades deep. He has to keep that job. He has to swallow what he's told. He has to smile through it. His mortgage decides how brave he's allowed to be. You don't have that chain. You could walk out of your job today and be fine for years. You probably won't, but you could. And that single word, could, changes everything about how you live. It changes how you speak. It changes what you'll tolerate. It changes the look in your eyes when someone tries to push you. That is real power. Not a big house. Not a loud car. Power is being able to walk away from any room you want. And you bought that power one quiet month of cheap rent at a time. And you feel it in small ways Mark never will. You feel it on Sunday mornings like this one, when nothing is due and nowhere needs you. You feel it when a bad work stays at work, because your home doesn't cost enough to follow you there. You feel it in the quiet certainty that if everything fell apart tomorrow, you would still be fine. Mark can't feel any of that. His house won't let him. Comfort, for him, is always 11 days from the next payment. For you, comfort is just the air in a paid-for room. But I won't lie to you. This road has a cost. And it's heavier than people think. The cost is being misunderstood. For 10 years, you have to sit in this small apartment while people you love look at you with that soft, pitying smile. You'll get your own place soon. When are you going to settle down? Don't you want something nicer? You have to hear it again and again. And you can't defend yourself. Because the second you explain it, the second you show them the account, the whole quiet advantage disappears. So you say nothing. You just smile and take a sip of your drink, like you did at Mark's party. And on some nights, late, on that same couch, the doubt comes for you. What if they're right? What if I'm not disciplined, just cheap? What if I'm wasting the best years of my life in a tiny box, counting money I never even earned? That voice is real. It doesn't have an easy answer. Because part of you, an old part, still wants the big house, still wants the party, still wants the room full of people saying, wow, about something that belongs to you. Every day, you tell that part to be quiet. And that's exhausting. That's the real price of stealth wealth. Not the small kitchen. The loneliness of being the only one who knows the truth. That's why almost no one does this. Not because the math is hard. The math is simple. It's the silence that's hard. It's living for a decade with no applause, while the man with the 30-year debt gets all of it. And there were moments you almost broke. There was a year you stood in a bigger apartment with a leasing agent, sunlight pouring through tall windows, and you wanted it so badly it hurt. There was a person you dated who looked around this small place once and never called again. There was a holiday dinner where a relative asked, in front of everyone, when you were finally going to grow up and buy a house. You felt your face go hot. You almost did it then, just to make the comments stop, just to be normal, just to be applauded. But you didn't. You went home to the small apartment and let the gap keep compounding. Those were the moments that actually built your fortune, not the spreadsheet. The nights you chose silence over approval. But picture Mark tonight, alone in his big house, after everyone leaves. 4 bedrooms, most of them empty. The rooms echo. The payment is due in 11 days. The water heater is making a sound again. His space is huge, and somehow it feels heavy. That's not peace. That's a weight with a nice address. Now picture you. Small room, cheap couch, fridge you can touch from the stove, and not one thing in this world that you owe to anyone. Your space is tiny, and it feels light, because there's nothing hanging over it. His house is big and full of debt. Your apartment is small and full of freedom. From the outside, he won. From the inside, you did, and only one of you knows it. So go back to this morning, Sunday, 9:15. The same couch you bought 10 years ago. The walls everyone felt sorry for. Look at them again. They're not the walls of a man failed. They're the walls that made you rich. Every year you stayed, while everyone told you to leave, this little room was quietly building the one thing the big house could never buy. Because in the end, the math was never really about money. A small apartment didn't just save you a few dollars. It bought you the biggest luxury in the entire world. It bought you your own time, your own mornings, your own decisions, a life that belongs to you, and not to a bank. Mark has 4 bedrooms and 30 years of payments. You have 1 bedroom in the rest of your life. So what about you? Would you live small for 10 years, if it meant you owned every year after that? Or do you need the big house, the tour, the wow? Be honest with yourself, and tell me in the comments. Because your answer says more about your future than your salary ever will. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself, and don't ever let anyone make you feel small for thinking big.